On our top story now, and that prisoner exchange between Ukraine and Russian separatists there in the east of the country. That swap has begun. It's the second major release since Kyiv and Moscow agreed to exchange detainees in September. Alexandra Godfroyd is live for us in Moscow. Another significant development, Alexandra, and a positive step forward in terms of de-escalating the situation. Yet it is still tense, isn't it?
Yes, of course. I mean, we have daily reports of the fire exchanges here and there on these territories, but what is going on at this moment is a significant step forward. What is actually going on at this point is that at the checkpoint of Mayorsk, which is near the town of Khorlivka, at the demarcation line between Ukraine and the Russian-backed separatists, they are at this point swapping the prisoners. They will have to do the identification of the people, meaning to match the person presented with the name on the list, and what we do not know at this point is exact number of people that is going to be swapped. What was agreed was all known for all known, and according to representatives of the separatists from Donetsk area, they're saying they're giving away, handing over rather 55 people and expecting from Kyiv 87, but the exact number is at this point not known. Also from the Kyiv side, this list is actually specifically interesting because yesterday there was an information that they're going to include in this exchange 5 ex-members of the special police forces that were involved, or rather accused of, shooting people in 2014 on the Square of the Independence in Kyiv. And these are the events that took place before the annexation of Crimea, before the first gun was ever fired in the east of Ukraine. So what we are seeing now is a second big exchange this year, but the first one in September that you mentioned was between the states of Russia and Ukraine. And such a prisoner exchange that is happening at this moment happened last time 2 years ago, exactly at this same checkpoint of Mayorsk.
And of course, while we see this sort of movement on the ground, on the diplomatic level, Alexandra, we see Presidents Putin and Zelensky respectively saying to each other that they want to try and de-escalate all of this scenario by 2020. But the sovereignty of Crimea will continue to rumble on. So even if you do have prisoner swaps, it doesn't ease the issue of sanctions that have been applied by the European Union and the United States. And that is a diplomatic scenario that has yet to be solved.
Yes, exactly, and not only that. This prisoner swap has been agreed on the meeting in the beginning of December in the Normandy format, but also in a face-to-face meeting of Russian and Ukrainian Presidents Putin and Zelensky. But what is to happen now is even more challenging when it comes to the conflict in the East Ukraine that claimed 13,000 lives so far, that had seen a million people fled their homes, and that is the elections that should happen according to Ukrainian law in this Russian-backed separatist area, but also the control of over the border with Russia, which Ukraine doesn't have since 2014. And this is exactly the point that even in this meeting the two sides didn't manage to agree, because Ukraine says we want to control our border first, and then these areas can get the elections, whilst Putin says, but that's not what the previous president signed in 2015 in Minsk, that first the elections should happen and then the process of taking over the control over the border should start. So it is hard to say whether this will indeed bring the peace to this area, and how forward this will move the situation.
Indeed, we'll continue to follow events on the ground, certainly where that prisoner swap is happening, and come back to you through the day. Thank you.